Let's get to it. Nothing left to it but to do it. All right, Kamala Harris. It's the thick of things. We got a good show for y'all lined up today. We got to talk Kamala Harris. So we're going to break down a 3-part interview in 3 parts. We want to go over to Chicago because Chicago was in a $1 billion budget deficit. And we want to get over to Denver and address the migrant crisis and people when taking over the apartments. All right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this Kamala Harris situation. So we already knew that Kamala Harris was going to do this CNN interview. And we were all skeptical and with good reason. With good reason. We had good reason to be skeptical because A, it was CNN. B, it was scripted. C, a lot of people is telling me that she's looking down at a teleprompter. D, she brought Tim Walz with her. And then E, it wasn't live. So we couldn't really know what was going on. Let's just go ahead and jump into the interview. So the first part of the interview was her talking about her first day in office. All right. So we all know that this is scripted. I haven't really deep dove into it. I seen a quick 1-minute clip of it on TikTok. But I wanted to say for the full review for you guys, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel with turn on your notifications. Let's get into it, y'all.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. The bus tour is well underway here in Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day 1 in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you first and foremost, one of my...
Well, before we get into this, do it look like she already aged? One thing that we couldn't say about Kamala Harris is that Kamala Harris wasn't a decent looking younger woman. That's the one thing that we can't say. Before she ever even really... Is Kamala Harris really the one that's running the White House into the ground and running this country into the ground right now? Because you don't age like this as the vice president. Mike Pence looked like he got Botox the day that he left office. I don't know if Mike Pence was having a good time or a bad time, or the fact that he wasn't letting these chicks, and Mike Pence stood on the fact that he didn't let himself inside of a room without his wife present or what. But she looks like she's aged significantly. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but she looked like she aged significantly. Let's get into her answers, and let's see if we can draw any substance from what she got going on.
My highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class.
She did like this, like she just hit a point.
What we can to support and strengthen the middle class.
All right, y'all. We got to let her talk because we got to get through this. She hit it. She did it with the...
When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward. In a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans.
You know what? Now I get it. Now I get it. I get it. The reason why so many people cannot, for the life of them, ever talk about their own policies or what Kamala Harris has done. When you go up and you ask somebody and you say, hey, why are you voting for Kamala Harris? Or what makes you think that they're the best person for the job or whatever, so on and so forth. You know why they can't do it? Because she can't do it. Because she can't do it. They asked her, what is your day 1 priority? And then she said to strengthen the middle class. And then she immediately started talking about Trump. When we see people on a regular basis and they say, you ask them, you say, hey man, what do you like about Kamala Harris? And they say, well, I don't like Trump. No. The question was, what are you going to do on day 1? Not how do you feel about Trump? Because we all know that the economy was booming in 2016. But the first thing that she do is the same thing that they do. And so they basically taking their cues from her. And it's the reason why you see people a lot of times say, well, I'm rolling with her because I don't like Trump. You can't substantiate why you like her. You can't substantiate any policy. You can't really give us any context. You just go straight over to throwing shots. So, it's interesting to me. It is very interesting to me. And this shows you that she has no depth immediately. But we're going to go into it.
Really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to
What is she looking down at? What is she looking down at? When J.D. Vance talks to a reporter, when Trump talks to a reporter, they just look them in the eye and they having a conversation. Tim Walz is sitting next to her holding her hand. What is she looking down at? Why is she not answering the questions?
Families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda.
What about you? No, what kind of journalist is this? What journalist is this? Somebody tell me the name of this journal. What about you? Hold on.
So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda, too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be. And I think many of these things that the Vice President's proposing are things that we share in values.
Is this the goof troop? Is this the dummy troop? Is this respectfully? What the fuck is what is happening here? Okay, so I'm taking notes. So she said on day one, because usually they'll be like, I'm going to sign into legislation, whatever. Whether they do it or not is a whole nother thing. Day one, opportunity economy. All right. I don't know what the hell that means. And then she went into child tax credits because you need to be able to buy a car seat, baby clothes, and a crib. So they're going to give you $6,000 for the child tax credit for your first year. I'm writing it down. I'm taking my notes. So I make sure that I don't miss anything and I don't want to put any words in their mouth. And then she said, well, what about you? You shouldn't even be there. What you there for? I mean, I believe in the opportunity economy also. God, is this a bad joke? Are we in the Matrix?
The child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by a third. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this.
Christ.
Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. Yeah. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Ooh, that was probably the hardest question that she asked the whole time. She probably was getting all kind of pings in her ear. Don't ask him too many more questions. What do you say to the people that say, yo, we want to go back to what it was? You keep saying that we don't want to go back. That's one of the reasons why we're concerned. We want to go back. We want to go back.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. people, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis.
You mean the
When we
pandemic?
came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care
You notice how she can't really substantiate her argument, so she keep going back to the child tax credit. Listen, margins are razor thin. If anybody joined Stock Club this past weekend, then you know, because I broke down and I went into the different segments of places that's laying off the merger between Kroger and another company. And I showed you both Walmart, Kroger, and other grocers that margins are literally razor thin. They got to sell $150 billion in groceries in order to make a $2 billion profit annually. They have to sell $150 billion in goods and services in order to generate less than a $2 billion profit annually. And so when we were going through and I was breaking it down and I was breaking down the different management styles and why mergers were happening and the razor thin margins and the difference between this grocer and how this grocer is not really selling groceries, but they understand that it's a loss leader in order to get people in the store, in order to buy more bigger things, and how they still have to compete against the Amazon, but the Amazon just wanted, when we went into it in Stock Club. And so for all of y'all that's a part of Stock Club, shout out to y'all because we break down the numbers, we break down the charts, we go into why you should or shouldn't invest in a particular company or a particular industry. It's all fluff. It's fluff for those that don't know. It don't have nothing to do with price gouging at all. And when she lies and she says that inflation is at 3%, it's another huge lie. It's another massive lie. Well, why is it a massive lie, Anton? Because inflation over the last 2 months is down 3%. And that's according to your lifestyle. As documented over the last 3.5 years, because if you do a combined, here, I'll just pull it up for you guys so you don't think that I'm lying. I'm gonna let the interview play while I pull up the real stats.
of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers. So they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is...
Is it a tax credit or is it a tax give out? Give me a second.
So they can just have a credit of $25,000. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers.
Is it a tax credit or are they giving you $25,000? Because what she said in her campaign speech was that she was going to give new homeowners or first-generation buyers $25,000. Now she's saying, because see, words matter and words mean things. Now she's saying, is she getting her words mixed up? Does she not understand what real estate means? Does she not understand the difference between giving somebody $25,000 towards the purchase of a new home versus a tax credit? I don't know what the hell she's talking about, honest to God.
So they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices.
Why is she always talking about Donald Trump? I want to know what you are going to do and why haven't you do it? Why is she always bringing up Donald Trump? We don't care about what Donald Trump thinks. The only thing that we care about is what you think. Now, this is according to the Consumer Price Index, okay? This is the real what was really happening with regard to inflation as measured by the Consumer Price Index. And this is according to Google, and then they cite their sources. Inflation in 2020, when they inherited the White House, in 2020, it was at 1.2%. That's why all of the prices were so low. That's why you can go to the grocery store. That's why you can get gas so cheap. That's why you can do all of the things that Molly was talking about on Monday Night Show. 2021 immediately jumped to 5%. 2022, 8%. 2023, 4%, which is a lie, because what I was reporting and what I was going into as far as what true inflation really was closer to 9% during 2022 and 2023 and the beginning of 2024. So now what they're saying is over the last quarter, we got it down to less than 3%. When you got it, it was 1%. When you got it, it was 1%. That's the truth. So when we really want to start deep diving into the numbers to better understand exactly what was going on and why the cost of living was much different than it is today, that's the honest to God truth. But the thing that they're going to always do in order to not be able to answer the question, because she asked her, she said, why can't you do it right now? But Donald Trump,
So now
Tim
the
Walz.
insulin has brought back dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%.
And let me also say that real quick, and I'm going to let her continue for the rest of the interview. I'm going to take my notes, and then I'm going to give y'all my conclusion. And then we're going to go over her perspective on Israel and the Hamas war in the next segment, because they broke this down in 3 parts like idiots instead of just letting the whole interview flow. Let me just ask this one more thing. This recovering thing that they talking about, this was, in my opinion, the greatest form of election interference ever. Because let me tell you what I experienced. Most of the red states, when you talk about the Texas, the Floridas, they were open. They were open. When they give you this, we lost 10 million jobs, that's not true. Most of the jobs went back to work from home. The trucking industry was booming. People were buying homes. They were refinancing at that time. They had the lowest rates, so on and so forth. And so basically people were learning, they were adapting to the environment. So it was an adjustment period because the whole world had shut down. So when they say, we lost 10 million jobs, that's BS. It's not nonsense. All of those jobs came back and they were hiring more than ever. And people were literally hitting me up saying, how can I break into this industry? How can I break into this industry? Because they hiring like crazy. What we seeing now is that there are layoffs galore. There's layoffs everywhere. So what was really happening in the pandemic, I like to call it the pandemic, is that all of the blue states basically conspired. You couldn't open up your business. They were preventing you from opening up your business. And then anywhere where there was a Democratic governor, they basically shut it down to make you beg in order to open it back up. And it showed that the states had more power than the federal government themselves, because each governor was determining what the course of action was during this pandemic, right? And so that's when you guys all got finesse. Y'all had Lori Lightfoot in the office. Y'all had Eric Adams in office. And so everybody voted to go blue if you were in a blue state, which in my opinion swung the election and influenced how people were going to suffer over the next 3.5 years. And this is what you got. And so when she says this stuff, it's all fake. When she says, why haven't you fixed this over the last 3.5 years? It's BS. Now what she's about to do is she's about to start spinning this over to Trump again, which have nothing to do with what it is that y'all did over the last 3.5 years. But let's see what she's going to say. We're going to let the rest of this play, and then we're going to give our conclusion on part 1 of the interview. We're going to go over to part 2, and we're going to break that down also.
The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin.
Jesus Christ.
She's not doing that
You
anymore.
maintain Bidenomics is a success?
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to.
Harpo, where? Where? All right, honestly, just want to be honest. I knew I said I wasn't going to stop it. 800K manufacturing jobs. I know we all got different states. I'm in Michigan, home of manufacturing in the Midwest. Y'all let me know where these jobs are, these new manufacturing jobs are. These 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Y'all tell me where they were, which plants open, and how do we bring that here? Just curious.
America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe,
What's up with all of this flip-flopping? Okay, so wait a minute, because this is a big industry inside of Pennsylvania, which is a state that they feel like they have to win in order to win President of the United States of America. All of a sudden, you against fracking. And you supported the Green New Deal. And you said that you wanted to ban fracking because you was more concerned with climate change. Now, all of a sudden, you're not banning fracking no more?
in a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Okay.
Okay, hold on one second. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Because I just can't, bro. I can't do this. You're not going to sit here and finesse me. Like, she got so many different interviews 4 years ago where she was talking about.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Did I just hear what I just not heard? When I heard what I said? Hold on, let me play it one more time for the people in the back.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Hold on. Y'all, listen, I'm not opposed to you just taking a position and just rocking with it, but you're not going to tell me that I didn't hear what I heard when I heard it 4 years ago. And then, like, we don't got the internet and we can't go back and, well, I know most people ain't going to go back and look at it, but she said that she wanted to ban fracking and she wanted to ban offshore drilling and she wanted to focus more on climate change and all of this other stuff. At a town hall, she was literally talking about banning fracking. And then she said her position.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah, so thank you.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes, and I've, again, worked on that.
What do you say to this? What do you say? The first eight minutes of this is so bad. And I have so many different notes. The Bidenomic notes, the Green New Deal, the banning of the fracking, the inflation. It's so many lies. It's lies and flip-flopping in the first part, dog. I can't wait to get to the second and the third parts of this. This is insane, bro. Let me play it again for the people in the back that don't think that she said it, because I just want to make sure that we all on the same page, y'all. I just want to make sure that we all agree.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Okay, so that's what she said.
Congress, you supported the Green New Deal, and in
A grandmother, and as I treated, I mean, so much she was doing that, and do the work of bringing down prescription medication to extend. When we do what we, United States, back to America, governments, there's more to do, but that's good.
issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Correct.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020.
Ban fracking.
No, and I made that clear.
What the is this the Twilight Zone, bro? Honestly, bro, I just feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. How do y'all let her get away with this? How are y'all? I blame this on you. I blame it on you. All of my sassy black women, all of my AKAs, the roly-poly Martins, the D.L. Hugleys, the Steve Harveys, the Charlemagne the Gods, the Ricky Smileys, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, white women for Kamala Harris, black men for Kamala Harris, white men for Kamala Harris, Doug Emhoff, all of y'all, I blame you for this. I blame you for allowing her to continue to lie to us and tell us this nonsense. We got to get to the next part of the show.